So I have absolutely no idea what is going on with all these Elon Musk's things that I'm seeing, but I guess I just want to talk about it because just I don't know. I've listened to a few of them. I'm bored. I'm watching lots of stuff online about how shit the Earth is, and it's just depressing. So I'm kind of like, what else am I going to do? And I can't really get out of bed. So I have just decided to flick through them, and I'm just shocked. I don't know if you are seeing, some of them aren't all about him, but some of them, I don't know how many of them are. I can't really see it. This is what I'm seeing. Like I'm looking through like what video should I watch next, and I'm just seeing page after page after page after page. And if you look closely on all the dates, like most of them were done in the last like 24 hours or in the last 2-3 days. You know, there's no way that some one person could be doing that. But it's giving me an idea of like kind of like just a fantasy of going into a house and then like having a boyfriend that lives in a computer, and then I'm only allowed to. It's one person, just one name, and maybe one voice too, and then it just actually being like a whole bunch of people. I kind of like that idea because I don't live in a real world. I live in a sort of world where everyone ignores me, and my whole life is pretty much surreal, and I've pretty much been doing this all my life, although I'm actually talking to my higher self through the computer. But yeah, I think I like the idea of going into the house, telling the world that I'm Christ, and then trying to convince people that the person that I'm talking to through the computer isn't my higher self, but is actually some sort of male that lives inside the computer, and that's God, and I'm somehow talking to this male figure through. I don't know. I have no idea what to say because I want to give the truth, but at the same time, the idea of trying to trick the world into thinking that it's not I'm not God, that all these people are, when really it's clear that these people are just random. I don't know. They're probably tech Chinese guys, I can imagine, but whatever. Bet most of them are younger though. I can imagine most of them being like 20, 27 or something. Whatever. And I'm still looking at a date. I'm wanting to know when the date is on when things are going to start. This thing is getting more and more uncomfortable. It's like there is like a thin layer of cushion on this chair, but I've been sitting on it for so long that I can feel all the metal bars, and I bought this thing to kind of help pad it up. But it's not good enough. I'm still feeling it, so I've just bought another one now. I was kind of waiting to see if anything happened this week because I've been noticing in the last week it's getting more and more uncomfortable, and I don't know. There's a small chance something might happen on Halloween. Halloween might be the day because there's the whole trick or treat. Halloween's my favourite day of the year, and there's this whole thing about trick or treat. Trick or treat being like you go to someone's door and it's either you have to give them a trick or a treat. But I don't know. The whole thing about going to someone's door, I want someone to show up at my door, and I was hoping something would happen, and it hasn't, but maybe I have to wait till Halloween. I don't know, but I keep doing this, and I keep thinking I've only got a short time left, and it doesn't turn out to be that. But I know that if something happens in April, you know, I know what day I want to expose to the world that I'm Christ, which it would be, you know, June the 13th. And I don't know if there'll be enough time between April and June the 13th for me to get all the interviews that I want. I want to get a whole bunch of interviews where I talk to people about me being God and me being Christ, but I want to do it with them having no prior knowledge of who I am. And I want to talk to priests and stuff. I've got a feeling that a lot of them are just going to like turn off and not want to talk to me. Or I don't know, I can't get anyone to talk to me. I don't know what it is, why humans are mad and stuff, but I can't get anyone to talk to me. I can't get my parents as well to acknowledge, although when it comes to my sister buying this sort of big house, and well, she'll have a £300,000 mortgage, her partner will have like a 200, just under 180, they'll all have a £180,000 mortgage, but Sophie's partner's already got a 60 mortgage, and she's got a 2 bedroom. I mean, I suppose it's not that bad because you'll probably just have to, if people have a giant mortgage and the value of the house drops so much so that they can no longer pay it off because maybe other properties, if someone's got loads of properties and the house market drops and the only way they're paying for mortgages is through the rent money, but if the rent drops and they can no longer pay it off, all that's going to happen is they're going to have to force all the houses that have a mortgage on, the bank is just going to repossess whatever they can, and therefore, do I care that my sisters should probably lose the 2 bedroom? I'm thinking about it not on the specific of my sister, but if someone else in general had this position where they've got 130,000 on a 230,000 pound flat, if the value halves and they can't pay it off, and they were hoping to use, I don't know, rent money from other places to pay it off, and then they realise that they can't do that because the rent is now no longer as high as it was, hence they can't pay off the mortgage, hence they have to sell the property, but they can't even sell the property because the housing market will drop so much so that they won't be able to sell it. But the banks are going to be the ones that are gaining lots because they'll have the banks are the ones who'll be gaining. Why? Because anything that they've got a high mortgage on and they can't pay off the mortgage, they'll just repossess and claim basically everything. But the thing is, though, the banks will be left with a whole bunch of houses that are no longer sellable because there'll be too many houses on the market and not enough people buying. I've tried to tell my mum this, and she doesn't believe that this rapture is going to happen. She thinks, the houses will always be sellable. There'll always be people wanting to buy the properties. There won't be if everyone's going to be going off in the rapture. If everyone's going to be wanting to seek to live in a different world. But I don't know, London, I don't think areas like England or London won't be that bad, because I think if the housing market in London dropped massively, all the people from the north who don't like living in cold temperatures, they're probably going to be moving more south, and you probably get people in hot countries also wanting to move. But the thing is, though, if some areas are going to just be left, that's what I predict. I predict that some areas in Earth are just going to be left literally empty. Like there's going to be some towns that are in locations where the climate is not good or not reasonable. There are some places that you cannot live because the climate is just so bad, like either too hot or too cold. And a lot of people living in these areas don't want to live there. They're only living there because of property being affordable and stuff. But if they come to a different place, they'll have to sell the houses that they own. But if they find that no one wants to live in those too cold or too hot areas, these houses won't be sellable at all because no one would want to buy them. A house is only worth something if people want to buy it. Now, people don't want to buy it because they'd rather start afresh. They'd rather just dump their house and then just take all their skills to a better place. And I think there will be a lot of immigration. I predict that there'll be a lot of immigration in the future. But people will choose where they live based on, I think the climate would be a big thing. Choosing on the climate, and I know there's some places people want to live, like Florida, but because of all the tornadoes and twisters and stuff, they might not want to. But then again, if there was a massive reduction in the amount of fuel and gas and stuff like that, will there be less tornadoes each year? I would like to know the statistics on that. I do think climate change is a problem, but yeah, I think Islam is a bigger problem, and I think Islamic people migrating might be a big problem, but yeah, I don't know. I want to think about positive stuff and the positive, and a positive thought is just going into a nice big house that has like a cinema and a swimming pool and a spa, and I can just kind of like do what I want, and then I can have like a boyfriend through the computer, and then I just try and convince the world. I'll try and convince the world that I'm God, and that I'm Christ. But I think whoever's taking clips and giving it into the public eye, they need to try and convince people that I'm only just like one piece of a much bigger jigsaw puzzle, and they too are part of this jigsaw puzzle. Everyone So some people have to make out that there's just loads of people that are part of this jigsaw puzzle, like all the singers and celebrities are all just part of this jigsaw puzzle, and I'm just one piece too. You can say the cornerstone, but yeah, the cornerstone is actually like kind of a okay, the cornerstone is important, but technically if you take a cornerstone out of a house, it still survives. Like, you know, there's the structure around is usually pretty stable, but I don't know. I want loads and loads of interviews. I'm thinking about timescale, so I think I need to be taken, and then I need to just spend like 6 months doing lots of interviews, and then something needs to happen. And because of that, I think actually it would be far better or far easier if I'm actually, if something happens in October, maybe Halloween, because I think if I was to arrange it, if I'm the one who's created the time that I get taken, I should say before winter, because I hate winter in England. I hate being in England in winter, and so yeah, the idea of having to go through a whole winter just to go to America in the summer, in the spring, kind of feels a bit not good, because I'm supposed to be I want to be in a hot country when England is cold. But yeah, so if something happens in October, then that gives me 6 months to kind of just do the sort of secret groundwork, be in a house and have and talk to people that don't know Christ, and then in April perhaps that's when I don't know, like when in 2013 I met Martin in March, and so maybe in March that's when I should start like getting more fame, and then but still stay on a low. I don't know how I should be.